The Theopetra cave and the oldest human construction in the world. Well, that archaeology wants to admit. Tonight we're going to discuss a fascinating find. The Theopetra cave is an archaeological site in Meteora, located in the central Greek region of Thessaly. And as a result of archaeological excavations that have been conducted over the past few years, it has been revealed that the Theopetra cave has been occupied by human beings as early as 130,000 years ago. In addition, evidence for human habitation in Theopetra cave can be traced without interruption from the Middle Paleolithic to the end of the Neolithic period. Now, this is significant, as it allows archaeologists to have a better understanding of the prehistoric period in Greece. Now, the Theopetric cave is situated on the northeastern slope of a limestone hill, about 100 meters above a valley. The cave overlooks a small village of Theopetra and the Lithios River, a tributary to the Peneus River, flows nearby. According to geologists, the limestone hill was formed between 137 and 65 million years ago, which corresponds to the Upper Cretaceous period, the time of the dinosaurs. Now, based on the archaeological evidence, the cave is probably less than 1 million years old, and humans begin to occupy the cave during the Middle Paleolithic period, about 130,000 years ago. The cave itself has been described as being roughly quadrilateral in shape with small niches in its periphery and covers an area of about 500 square meters, or 5,300 square feet. The Theopetra cave has a large entrance, which allows light to enter abundantly into the interior of the cave. Now, the archaeological investigations of Theopetra cave began back in 1987 and continued up until 2007. The project was directed by Nina Kasparisi Aspotelica, who served as the head of Ephorate of Paleoanthropology and Speleography when the excavations were being carried out. It may be mentioned that the archaeological work was first conducted. The Theopetra cave was being used by local shepherds as a temporary shelter in which they would keep their flocks. And it may be added that the Theopetra cave was the first cave in Thessaly to have been archaeologically excavated. It's also the only one in Greece to have a continuous sequence of deposits from the Middle Paleolithic to the end of the Neolithic, which makes it very important. This is quite significant, as it has allowed archaeologists to gain a better understanding of the transition from the Paleolithic to the Neolithic. Now, several interesting discoveries have been made through the archaeological studies of the Theopetra cave. One of these, for instance, pertains to the climate in the area where the cave was being occupied. By conducting micromorphological analysis on the sediment samples collected from each archaeological layer, archaeologists were able to determine that there had been hot and cold spells. Well, can you imagine that? Climate change, not caused by humans, but by natural variability in cycles. Wow. Now, as a result of these changes in the climate, quote unquote, the cave's population also fluctuated accordingly. Now, another fascinating find from the dig, and this is Theopetra cave, is the remains of a stone wall that once partially closed off the entrance to the cave during one of the cosmic catastrophes that we talk about on this channel. These remains were discovered back in 2010. And using a relatively new method of dating known as optically stimulated luminescence, where scientists were able to date the wall to 23,000 years ago, and what they use is a technique to determine when the last time light hit the rocks. Now, the age of this wall, which coincides with the last glacial age or cosmic catastrophe, has led researchers to suggest that the wall had been built by the inhabitants of the cave to protect them from the cold outside, perhaps. And it has been claimed that this is the oldest known man-made structure in Greece and possibly even the entire world. Now, a year before this incredible discovery was made, it was announced that a trail of at least 3 hominid footprints that were imprinted into the cave's soft, earthen base, which you can see here, were made by several Neanderthal children, aged between 2 and 4 years old, who had lived in the cave during the Middle Paleolithic period. And these are some of the oldest human footprints in Europe. And in fact, mind-blowing as it may seem, excavations brought to light these footprints, which were dated to 135,000 years ago. The find consists of 4 human footprints in a row that you're looking at from 4 individuals that were children. And those children must have walked on the remained ashes of a fire that later in time became petrified, thus allowing footprints to be preserved until the present day. The stratigraphic sequence in the Theopetric cave extends through 3 cold periods during the Middle Era, circa 25,000 BC, during the Upper Paleolithic, and during the Upper Final Paleolithic period, the end of the Pleistocene era. The excavations and study of the finds at Theopetra have been conducted since 1987 by the scientific research group of the Department of Paleoanthropology and Speleology, as we have already mentioned earlier, under the director of Dr. Ekinturni or Nina Kaspersi Apostolica. Now, objects discovered in the cave include stone tools of the Paleolithic, Mesolithic, and Neolithic periods, as well as Neolithic pottery, bone, and shell objects. And there have been skeletons from 15,000, 9,000, and 8,000 BC, respectively, as well as traces of plants and seeds that reveal dietary habits, and that these people were being consumed by what was happening around them. And they sought shelter here in the Theopetric cave for millennia. For 130,000 years, this cave was occupied, as far as archaeologists can contend. And some of the oldest constructions ever may exist in this cave, this wall specifically. And the footprints of children 130,000 years ago running around the cave, around a fire. What else do we not know about our history? And why has it been hidden? And that's a boom to knowledge. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Shared this with like-minded people. Become a Patreon. Support the work we do. Or just be a hero and share this video. We love you. Be safe.